What's up, Scrub Academy? Gabe back with a deck profile for my regional topping Prank Kids deck. I got top 24, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it. It's pretty standard Prank Kids stuff. Probably the only time you'll ever see me playing anything mildly meta, but we got the standard Prank Kids core, 3 each of the main deck monsters, Fansies, Lampsies, Dropsies, and of course the new Roxies. Pretty standard, honestly. If you're running a build with less than 12 Prank Kids monsters, you're probably not running Prank Kids. Jumping into the rest of the monster lineup, we got 2 King of the Swamp. I had a lot of people giving me guff, actually, because King of the Swamp is an ashable target. But honestly, I liked it more than Invocation. I kept running into problems with Invocation because of the fact that you can only use monsters from hand. It didn't put in a lot of work, honestly, as often as it could. You know, the King of the Swamp gets ashed. People are ashing better targets in the deck, honestly. The King of the Swamp is the least of their worries. They should be ashing the Prank Kids places, not anything like this. But rest of the monster lineup is just the 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. You can't play a good deck without it, honestly. That and the spell lineup, Called by the Grave. You can't play a deck without Called by the Grave either. It's just the meta, honestly. There's not much you can do about it, but rest of the spell lineup is going to be 3 Pot of Desires, and this card, I thought it would be a lot more bricky. I thought you'd be seeing a lot more of your cards get banished, a lot more of your combo pieces. But honestly, you use it at the end of the combo to extend and get some maybe some floodgates or some other things to extend with next turn. And since they all have the same effect, since all the Prank Kids monsters have the same generalized effect of special summoning 1 from deck, it doesn't honestly put too much of a hindrance on you unless you banish 2 Dropsies, which I didn't see it at all during the regionals, so it was pretty solid. Triple Instant Fusion, still pretty standard stuff. Instant Fusion into Rocket Ride, Instant Fusion into Weather Washer, both very good cards. Only 1 Pandemonium. Pandemonium being searchable, as well as Pandemonium being a hard lockout of your extra deck, honestly incentivized me more to go ahead and just run 1 of it. It is searchable, pitchable by Prank Kids Fansies, so you're not needing to use 3 of it like other people would have you believe. Triple Pranks, though, common reoccurring problem with the deck was not being able to get 2 monsters out. If you can't get 2 monsters out, you can't go into your Link plays, you can't go into your Fusion plays, so Prank Kids Pranks helps with that. It's also the recycle card of the deck. I honestly like the draw that it gives you more than the Prank Kids plan, so tripling up on it for the extra monster extension and the recycling is pretty nice. The obvious triple Prank Kids place, being able to search that second monster if you got the fusion in hand, or being able to chain block your opponent's plays. Honestly, invaluable to the deck and helps with a lot of random matchups. The one-ofs going to be Reasoning. Reasoning is an obvious choice for me, honestly. Again, one of the reoccurring problems of the deck was not being able to extend into 2 monsters, and since they all have different levels, it honestly, you saw a lot of people calling 3 because of the King of the Swamps and the Ash Blossoms, and it lands just as often as it hits, and I didn't have anyone call the right number during the entire regional, so I was pretty lucky at least. And then the Super Poly, it honestly teched it in for Thunder Dragons. Didn't see a single Thunder Dragon all day. Wish I would have saw one of them, but you know, you got to live with what you got. It also helps, you know, being an unstoppable fusion card. It's pretty okay, but didn't run into it very often. It didn't brick very often, honestly, so I can't say I complain about it too much. But if I was going to cut 1 card, it'd probably be this card. Of course, the triple polarization, run it over the regular Pandemonium instead of the archetype fusion spell, because it is searchable by King of the Swamps, and it is an objectively better fusion spell than just locking out of your extra deck for the turn. It'll help extend into your combos, your Toad plays, your regular lockout plays. The trap lineup, the Prank Kids plan, it is sendable, and getting the Sky Striker matchup, this card proved to be an uncuttable card for me in future lineups of this deck, because honestly, getting rid of your opponent's entire back row at the end phase or at the end of main phase was pretty good, and it pretty much ended their entire game plan. Last but not least, the skill drain. I thought this card would put in work, and it did. It saved me no less than 3 or 4 of my games. Skill Drain is honestly a be-all, end-all for the deck. If you top deck this card, you will go off, but your opponent will not. Since all of your cards resolve in the graveyard, all of your Link monsters are tributing away, all of your Fusion monsters are tributing away, and everything else is resolving in the graveyard. You don't have to worry about your effects on field. It only blocks you out of plays like Borel's and the Nightmares, of course. But other than that, even Toad tributes for cost, so you could tribute it to go out and just negate the effect and still get the set to your side of the field. Jumping into the extra deck, the Prank Kids lineup is going to be 2 Doodaloo. I didn't triple up on it just because I have the full recycle power of Prank Kids Pranks, and the 1 Bow Wow Bark. Fusions are going to be the 2 Rocket Ride, and then, of course, the 1 Weather Washer. Again, this was pretty standard for me. I didn't need to use more than this. I didn't need to use less than this. This was the perfect number for me, at least. And then, of course, the boss monsters being Rip-Roar and Roaster, and of course Battle Butler. Both of those cards, I randomly saw Rip-Roar and Roaster coming up a lot more than I thought it would be. Battle Butler, I didn't honestly need to go into it. Most of my opponents were scooping just from the field presence, so it didn't have to come up too much. Other extra deck targets are, of course, the Toad. The Toad is part of your regular combo plays. You usually end on a Toad and a Bow Wow Bark for your end combo, so it honestly proved invaluable. It puts a lot of field pressure on your opponent to get it off the field, and it tributes for cost, so really the only way you're getting out of that is a Called by the Grave, which honestly I'd rather Called by the Grave than Bow Wow Bark. That's just me though. The 2 Borel Brothers, of course, I can't not play these in any deck. They literally win games all by themselves. Borel Load beats any Thunder Dragon lit player, and Borel Sword, honestly, against any non-meta matchup, this card wins the game. Borel Sword is such an unstoppable force. This card is deserving of its price, and until it gets reprinted, I'm sad to say that I'll be playing it, the secret version in every deck that I play. Finishing up the extra deck lineup, we have the Nightmare package. That's Phoenix, Cerberus, and Unicorn. I play all 3. I saw some people taking out the Cerberus, but I kind of like the protection from destruction by card effect. It does come up a little bit for when you're just going into generic plays. The Phoenix and the Unicorn are pretty standard though. Honestly, just standard removal. And then the Predaplant Dragostoplania. I anticipated that I'd see more Thunder Dragon players. Did not see a single Thunder Dragon player, but this card did come up a single time against a Dark Magician player. So I guess I can't say that it didn't come in handy once, but going into the future, I might just side out the Super Poly and start siding in either this or the Zombie Fusion, depending on what the matchup looks like. Nah, just my own preference there. I saw mostly Sky Striker players all day. If I wasn't seeing a Sky Striker player, I was seeing a Rongo player. So didn't come up too much, but I'd say it's definitely got potential if I ever saw a Thunder Dragon player, but I didn't. But other than that, that's really all the deck profile. The side deck is honestly just whatever you think the event might be. So my options on the side deck wouldn't really have much bearing on what you might think might be good in a side deck. But honestly, I'll probably be looking out for more Sky Striker matchups from now on. I'll probably be looking out for more Rongo matchups unless that ban list hits them. But other than that, it performed really well. I was doing great until the latter half of the day. Saw some losses to some pretty great players and saw some wins to some pretty great players. So I had a great old time. Other than that, you have a wonderful day there, Scrub Academy, and thanks so much for tuning in.